Recapping championship weekend with our fantasy takeaways right now on FFT Express. All right, we'll start with the NFC Championship game. Eagles 55, Commanders 23. Just a quick, before we get into fantasy, did you feel like this game would have been close if not for the fumbles?
Yeah. I had a buddy of mine text me, said that he was surprised Jane Daniels was dancing when they cut it to 11.
Same.
Huh?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
You were surprised he was dancing?
It felt a little, you know what? It felt like none of his teammates were into it. Like they were surprised by it.
But I was like, they're playing with house money at this point, to get to this game. And he's a young kid. He's having fun. And you could feel the momentum was changing a little bit. Then they get the stop on the other end, and then Eckler fumbles.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I thought they were going to go score before Eckler fumbled there.
There's a scenario where they could have won the game. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a stretch to say that, but they really killed themselves with the turnovers, and the Eagles took advantage of it. But I think if you look at it, it wasn't like they were these necessarily careless turnovers. You got to give the Eagles a lot of credit. Maybe not McNichols, but Eagles a lot of credit. Their defense forcing those turnovers. And the Eagles with a very impressive win, 55-23. But the Commanders, even without that score, I felt like they could have hung with the Eagles if they had kept taking care of the ball. But that's what it comes down to so many times. Anyway, this was a good game for a lot of players. It was good to see A.J. Brown remind us of what he could do. But what are your fantasy takeaways from this one?
I think for the Eagles, there's four things that you look at. One, we're going to have a fun number one overall pick conversation because Saquon Barkley, what he did this year, what he might do in the Super Bowl, 28 years old. I just turned 28 yesterday on the day of the game. I'm sorry, no, he'll turn 28 on the day of the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yeah.
28 years old, coming off a 2,000-yard season, coming off what might be the most rushing yards ever in a season when you factor in the playoffs. The explosive plays, the offensive line he plays behind, seemingly looking like Kellen Moore is going to be back as the play caller. We'll see what happens with the Saints job. But if everything stays the same, he's clearly in the conversation. The second thing is Jalen Hurts has solidified himself after this game, healthy, as a top 5 quarterback. I think he's 5th, but he will be in the discussion, I think, to be in the 3, 4, 5 range. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, whatever order you want, they're going to be 1 and 2. And then it's Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts as the next 3 guys. We had this conversation. Go listen to the show. But, Hurts after the 2 down games and what he kind of, struggled to the finish line. When you see what he could do like this is the ceiling, that he's got, rushing touchdowns. He's got, clearly he's got, the ability to still be one of the better passers in the league. And when his receivers are healthy, they make plays for him. So I thought that was positive. And then the other part of this is, I guess maybe it's only 3, the Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith conversation. So when everybody's healthy, where do those 2 guys stack up? Can Goddard be a top 12 tight end? I think he's on the cusp. And then does Devontae Smith still warrant consideration as a top 24 wide receiver? I still think the answer is yes. But again, you see some of the pitfalls for these guys when everybody's healthy.
For the Commanders, what gives you confidence that Jaden Daniels will not have a CJ Stroud step back in year 2? I know the rushing, the rushing is going to be there, but as a passer, what gives you confidence that Jaden Daniels is going to live up to being a top? He might check in at QB3. I feel like he'll be QB3 in ADP. Just a guess, but he'll be top 5.
I think so. I think for me the order is Lamar, Allen, Daniels, Burrow, Hurts.
Yeah. So why are you afraid of a second season?
No, because of the rushing. So I think as an NFL quarterback, you could have some concerns. Now, granted, he has more experience than CJ Stroud coming into the league because playing at ASU, playing at LSU, and then what he looked like as a rookie. While Stroud was good, you can make a case that Daniels was better. And so, did we put too much expectations on CJ Stroud? Probably so. When they add Stephon Diggs and they bring back Tank Dell and Nico Collins, it looked like, okay, he's got one of the best receiving cores in the league. Daniels doesn't have that right now, but I think he's going to add somebody, and that's going to be fun. Do they lose Zach Ertz? And what happens there? Do they change the running back situation at all? So there's still some things at play, but with what Jane Daniels has, and I think it kind of speaks to what Houston did. Remember, they fired Bobby Sloak. We didn't talk about that on the full length episode. So they changed their offense coordinator in Houston, or getting ready to. So they make a move. Is it because of Stroud or is it because of the system? Probably both. I think as long as Cliff Kingsbury stays there, which looks like it's going to be the case, hopefully things continue to go in the right direction. So I'm not really worried about Jayden Daniels.
Jayden Daniels, 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Those were his passing stats. Stroud last year was 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. All right, we'll take a break and talk about the other game, the AFC side of things, after this. Chiefs over the Bills. Unbelievable. Cowboys, 49ers, maybe? Was that the last time we had a rivalry this good, giving us great championship games? I'm talking about the 90s. It's just unbelievable. These two teams that give us classics in such high stakes situations. Amazing rivalry. You can talk about that if you want, but any fantasy takeaways from Buffalo, Kansas City? You
almost wish that the Super Bowl lives up to these games, from what we've seen with the drama. Not that the Super Bowls lately have been bad, but this game was amazing. And just, the back and forth, it looked like the Chiefs maybe pulling away 21-10, and then the Bills, fight back and, are able to take a lead at one point, 22-21. The drama is fantastic. These two quarterbacks are great. You feel awful for Josh Allen. And I know you kind of alluded to this. And we talked about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Like, is he Patrick Ewing? Is he Karl Malone? Is he
He's Ewing? Yep.
You say Ewing. It's him and Lamar Jackson.
Super Bowl. He can't get to the Super Bowl. Like right. Ewing, Knicks were great every year. They lost to Jordan every year.
Yeah. And Lamar Jackson's the same. Just they may just be running into Jordan.
Lamar Jackson's Reggie Miller.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Although they got to the finals after Jordan left, though.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the Bills, Josh Allen's going to be amazing. That James Cook has now put himself in the conversation to be a borderline top 10 running back. Certainly, he won't be more than top 13, 14 at worst. What do they do with the receiving core? So Shakir's locked in. He's going to be a good number 3 fantasy receiver. Does Keon Coleman ascend, as we discussed? Does Dalton Kincaid find a way to be relevant and a consistent fantasy producer? Those are the two questions. So I think for where you're drafting, Allen, is he QB1? Is he QB2? Who's one for you? Is it Allen?
Yeah. Allen over Lamar.
Yep. So that's the debate. Who's the number 1 QB? And then when does Cook come off the board? And then what do they do with their receiving core? Amari Cooper's done. There's no way they could bring him back. It's funny, you look at this game, and the guy you probably feel the most upside about, has the most, Matt Collins. That was a hell of a catch.
Yeah.
On the touchdown. We had such a funny stat, the NFL and CBS Twitter handle. First player since at least 1950 to come to the game dressed as a Muppet and score a touchdown. I'm assuming that's when the Muppets debuted.
I was thinking about that with Amari Cooper, and he just hasn't really panned out. He didn't play a lot. He's usually playing like half the snaps. And as they were going into what was supposed to be their game-winning drive, ended up with Kincaid dropping the ball. I was thinking, man, they don't have Stephon Diggs. They don't have anything even close to that. They need a money wide receiver. That would, if they can get that somehow, that would really solidify Allen as QB1. It's the only thing that would give me any doubt about him being QB1, but he's just been so good for 5 straight years. But they need that. Cooper, man, what a fall off. He's not even that old. Was he 29?
31.
Cooper?
Yep.
No.
He will be 31 this year if he's not 31 already.
Oh, so he's 30.
He might be 31 in 2025. He's definitely already 30.
Okay.
That wide receiver screen should have been a huge play.
Right. It was a great call at the line of scrimmage by Allen. He saw the blitz coming, throws the wide receiver screen, and Cooper just got ankle tackled. Okay. Yeah, I was also thinking about this rivalry. I thought Patriots Colts, but that was, I think, more of a regular season rivalry. This is just unbelievable what the Chiefs and Bills give us every year. It's good stuff.
Didn't you say, wasn't that you that said Peyton Manning's got a winning record against?
No, it was Heath. Yeah. Anyway.
Amari Cooper turns 31 in June.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks 41. And I can tell I'm sitting down for an hour and a half. I'm 40. My hip is hurting. I gotta go.
Your hip is hurting?
Yeah, I'm just falling apart here. We got to go. We'll talk to y'all on Wednesday. on FFT Express.